Welcome back to Revolt Black News. Now, over the past month, all of our timelines have been hit by the war between the country of Israel and Hamas. Hamas is an organization which many countries, including the U.S., have categorized as a terrorist organization that currently controls the Gaza Strip. So we're going to take some time now to have a discussion about the conflict, because everybody needs to know that although there's currently a ceasefire and it's no longer trending in our headlines, the issues continue in the region and they have significant impact to all of us across the world. So joining us right now is Seattle-born rapper and now Israeli citizen who is currently residing in Jerusalem. Y'all, his music videos have gained over millions of views on YouTube. Welcome to the show, NIssim Black. Also Brooklyn-born MC who's a Billboard charting artist with tracks collaborating with RZA of Wu-Tang and Gangsta Boo. We got Kosha Dillz with us. What's up, Kosha?
What's going on? Thanks for having me.
So I'm going to just, I guess, start with you, Kosha. There's been so much going on. We know that there's currently a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. But a lot of people here in the U.S. have felt the coverage of the conflict was really one-sided. You are first generation Israeli, like I just said, but you're currently living in this Western world with us. What do you think about the overall media coverage? And was there a sling?
Yeah, well, it's a great question because a lot of people only watch one type of news. If you're in America, you might watch CNN or Fox or whatever that may have you. A lot of people know that Hamas just is a terrorist organization. It's been labeled a terrorist organization, it's a genocidal terrorist organization, wants to kill all Israelis. And if you see what CNN does, they label them as a militant group. They label it with numbers of casualties, of losses, and show how many died on one side versus how many on the other. So right off the bat, people are going to side with the underdog. And this kind of doesn't tell the full picture of what's happening. So if you see it in bite-sized news, you'd think, wow, these guys are the good guys and they're fighting against a big machine. And that has led to a huge onslaught on Instagram, which is our other form of media. And we see people sharing infographics that are misleading to misleading other information, and ultimately being a root cause of like this new form of anti-Semitism and Jew hatred, which is leading to attacks on people in the states outside of Israel.
Kasha, just a quick follow-up on that, because I think it's important. As somebody who's been to the region a couple times myself, can you distinguish between the Palestinian people and Hamas? Because I do think there's a lot of conflation and misunderstanding around Hamas's role as it relates to the Palestinian people. Just explain that.
Sure. So first off, Israel is here, Gaza's in the corner, and West Bank's in this other corner. Gaza is run by Hamas, a terrorist organization which literally did a coup and threw the opposition off the roofs and killed their way into what is their own democracy. Hamas is the leader of that region. They're funded by Iran. They're shooting over 4,500 rockets into Israelite civilians. And they are the sole reason why they're literally imprisoning their own people and not giving them a chance for help. So Hamas is a terrorist organization. There's 1.9 million Palestinian Arabs with legal citizens within Israel, and then we have the West Bank, which is governed by the PA. So it's good to be distincting between each of those, so just people have a clue of who Hamas is.
NIssim, during the war, you put out this tweet. You said, many Israel haters in the U.S. have a great deal of work on their hands to proper retribution to Native Americans whose blood they're sleeping on every day while they find time to be worried about Israel. Brother, talk to us a little bit about what you see as the hypocrisy here, and speak a little bit, if you can, about Jewish people and clarify what Zionism is, and again, highlight the hypocrisy that you explained in your tweet.
Yeah, I think, it was something without said. Now, one thing I want to be clear about was I'm not making a comparison because I think the indigenous people of this land is surely the Jewish people. There's archaeology to say that any Bible believing person, which is where I hang my hat at anyway, definitely has been very, very clear about who this land was given to and who was here, prior to 1948, however many other years. However, we somehow find time to be always concerned about what's going on somewhere else when there's plenty of other people, black, the African American community screaming for reparations. You have the Indian Native American story, which is just like beyond crazy. And nobody's talking about this right now. You know what I mean? Because somebody ain't making money about it. Now, plenty of people have a reason to make money or find some interest to be involved in the Israeli Palestinian conflict, or they want to be hot on social media, so therefore they have what to say, and they watch the news, and all of a sudden everybody's an expert on what's going on in the Middle East. It's a very interesting thing, but it's very, very clear you're on the soil of Native American blood, and nobody's talking about that. It's making no headlines right now. So I think it's hypocrisy. So I think that the whole entire story gets flipped up, and I think that Zionism in itself and at its birth. May have meant something different than what it is now. It's much more so like a patriotism, and many people just being excited about having a homeland after not having one for about 2,000 years.
Kosha, do you have final thoughts on this topic, which is going to be ongoing, and resources where you can point people for more information and education?
Yeah. One, if you're new to this subject, welcome. This is our entire life, and this is, I'm 39 years old. This has been happening our my entire life. Um, if you want to advocate for the Palestinians, it's not exclusive, because there's two people here, the Israelis and the Palestinians. No one is going anywhere, neither them nor us. We're both here to stay in our lands. And you don't have to put one down and to uplift the other. You don't have to equate them to former struggles of the Holocaust or things that are happening in America for the black community to advocate. It's its own struggle, and and they deserve their own self-determination, and it should be treated as such, so we could actually work on our issues together and see and fulfill the aspirations of each nation, the Palestinian nation and Israeli nation. If you are interested in great resources in Israel, there's a girl I recommend for you to follow, Black Jewish Magic, on Instagram. She is an Ethiopian Israeli that speaks on the Zionism of the Ethiopian people, how many times it has failed, what it's like to be black and Israeli. And there's some great artists like Eden Derso, Teddy Nagusa, and these are hip hop artists that are some of the most popular artists in Israel that are black and Israeli and rap in Hebrew. And I'd like to give them a shout out as well. Um, and there's one person that is currently captured, an Ethiopian Israeli, by Hamas for over 6 years, Avera Mengistu, I think is pronouncing the name. I want to get it exactly right, so for you guys to get it in there. But that is something that I think is we forget. We forget the people that are over there aren't only white Jews or brown Jews or black Jews too.
Yeah, I think the final thoughts is that and forgive me because I'm much more of a spiritual person. So I think that the biggest thing for us is to really hone into is on the efforts towards peace. The efforts towards peace takes that each and every single person has peace within themselves, right? And over the last many years, and I would say even 2020 was a big one, was a defining year for most of humanity. There was almost no way in the world for a person to sit back on the sidelines and not jump in somewhere to be able to say something about some type of something that they felt was either wrong or any type of oppression or any type of thing that may make a person feel bad. But at the end of the day, a person has to be focused on what the effort is. When a couple sits down and they talk to one another, and this is, we'll say, any couple, that the end goal all the time is to get to a place of peace and understanding, the same way that it is with the rest of humanity. So I think that as a people, we have always been a very strong and spiritual people. We have to tap in to all of our spiritual resources to be able to conjure up whatever we can to be able to get to the end goal, which is to be able to find peace, not to be dragged into anybody else's story about this, that, and the third, but to be able to only look for what is going to be the most peaceful option between that community, and ours were others.
Kosha, NIssim, brothers, thank you so much for your time and your insight, and somewhat helping simplify some deeply complicated issues. We appreciate you. All right, y'all, stay with us, because up next we have Miss Gia Peppers and Don Juan Clark helping to bring us Black excellence and entertainment. You don't want to miss it. We've got much more Revolt Black news after this.